Hi everyone, welcome to another PMfm. I hope you're well. On today's video, we're going to be looking at what makes pharmacies successful on Facebook, specifically things like what content you should and maybe shouldn't be posting, what even defines success on Facebook, right? Is that getting bookings in your pharmacy? Is it having a good brand, getting good brand awareness from it? Things like that. I'm delighted to be joined by Lexi, who is our head of client marketing at Pharmacy Mentor.
Hello everyone, nice to meet you all.
Thanks, Lexi. So you joined not too dissimilar to me, probably about a year and a half ago, and I think it was before just before COVID kicked in.
Yes.
And what I want to start with is maybe a bit of a different subject, which is how have you seen engagement in Facebook change over that period?
The way that engagement changed on social media, it was huge. The amount of messages that were coming in, the amount of queries. Marketing was no longer just marketing. There was also huge amounts of customer service that was involved in what we were doing. We were guiding people to get the support that they needed. There was a lot of health outlets that had to close doors when the pandemic first hit. And the way that affected pharmacy was that everybody was on pharmacy's doorstep going, what do we do? Like, how do we deal with this? So it was urgent that we got these messages out to people about masks, about not coming in if you've got any symptoms that look anything like they could be COVID, to make sure that people knew that their nan and their granddad was still going to get their meds, and that we were going to make sure that those deliveries were being made on time every time, that they could phone us, that they could get through on apps. Like, the amount of information that people suddenly needed that they never knew that they were going to need from a pharmacy, I think it really shot pharmacy into the limelight of what it was capable of doing. There were so many people that still thought that pharmacy was just about dispensing pills until COVID happened. And they suddenly realized how much more they needed from their pharmacy and how much more their pharmacy was capable of giving.
Yeah.
So yeah, it changed those interactions massively.
I think that you know what you've touched on there, I think is a big part of why pharmacies need to be on Facebook, and specifically, I guess, having to have a community manager. So it's not necessarily just thinking about, you know, having Facebook for sales, which is traditionally, I think, what anyone with a business, you know, they hear about, you know, I should be on Facebook. Why? It's good for your business, right? Why is it good for your business? Ultimately, what people want from a business is to make money, right? But so I think that what you've just said there, I think pharmacy owners, pharmacists don't always understand that being on Facebook, I think, for me, is about being present in a way that someone wants to talk to you. So not everyone wants to pick up the phone. People, you know, are on Facebook and do like using Messenger. And I think it's just being a convenient way to talk to people. Now, obviously, pharmacists don't want to spend all their day sat on Facebook Messenger, but are there integrations? You'll know better than me. Is there a way of putting Messenger into a website or into email format? Is there anything you can do around that?
So there's a lot of different options with Messenger these days. The easiest you will find is to get your team involved, like not to just have yourself, the owner of the business, dealing with all this stuff. You don't need to deal with these things. If you have trusted members of staff that you can have in as admins, it's so easy for them to have that on the computer in the back room. It's so easy for them to have that on their phone as an admin if they're a higher member of staff that you trust. So it's really easy for them to be answering those things and for that to actually be part of their work, because think about how long it takes for a phone call to be dealt with. Think about how long it takes for a message to be dealt with. That's actually a huge reduction in time for your staff. You can look at things like bots that can respond. Very easy messages can be responded to with automations as well.
Yeah.
I don't recommend using that all the time because people really need to know it's you. But it is something that can be used for the very basic questions, just to make sure that people know what your opening hours are, people know what kind of turnarounds to expect on prescriptions, just so that people know what phone numbers and emails are best to get hold of you on. So it can be used in that way, yeah. Never fully rely on technology. Never fully rely on it. But yes, there are things that can definitely help ease that.
Yeah, because I've seen auto reply used very well and very poorly.
Yes.
What I don't like is one that just auto replies to every single messenger with the same thing. Because when someone, you know, it's the really awkward moment when you get someone says, "Oh, hello," as the first message. They get an auto responder that says, "We'll be with you as soon as possible," or whatever, or "Thanks for messaging us." And then they go, "Where's my prescription?" or you know, something else. And then they just get the exact same message, and it's just like, oh, okay, this wasn't a person, you know, like this isn't really you, is it? Whereas I do think it's really good for what time do you close today? You know, you can set and you can reply with opening hours are, you know, like that sort of thing is brilliant. I think that often people want to direct people away from Messenger or things like that, but I think that framing it like that, it might well be something that if you looked at almost managing it more exclusively on a messenger or through email, it's actually a much easier way to manage it, isn't it? Let's move on from I guess like how we manage it, because obviously like that is a big topic on, you know, I feel like I don't have time to do all of this. But what do you see as success? What does success mean for a pharmacy on Facebook? What does it look like?
Success to me for the pharmacies and what I see as my most successful clients is very different from what a traditional pharmacist may think when they come to us. A lot of pharmacists come to us, and of course, it's always about the bottom line. It's business. That's always their first thought is, how can I get these sales up and things like that. But the thing is, if you don't focus so much on the numbers, and you focus more on the care and the community and the awareness and being part of that community that is visible, the sales often take care of themselves. My best clients are the clients who are vulnerable with their community. So really honest, really vulnerable, really not afraid to do videos of themselves talking about things. It can be scary doing things like that, and people often worry about, you know, is this going to look professional enough? Am I going to make myself look like an amateur by doing this? No, you make yourself look like a human being. And when you make yourself human and real on social media, even as a business, that's nothing but a benefit. So the more you can talk to your community, the more you can include your community, the more that you can tell somebody that you are part of your community, the better you will do, because people won't forget you.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, we moving on then to content. Obviously, you touched on video content.
Yes.
What would you, let's say I'm a pharmacist and I'm just starting out on Facebook. And I just ask you the simple question: what sort of content should I be putting out there?
Mm-hmm. Localized content is always good. This guy's been, you know, raising for this health charity, or, oh, you know, our local charity is doing a big drive at the moment. For instance, like in Sheffield, we have Cavendish Cancer Care. Like if they were doing something massive, you could write about that. You could put things about local charities within your area. Any local content is only going to be a benefit, because that's going to make sure that the content that's going out is relevant to your very local audience. Videos, as we mentioned, are a massive thing, and photos of the team. It's real people's faces. It's that counter assistant that served you on Saturday, that helped you to get meds for mum when things were bad. It's that person who calmed you down when you were worried that you weren't going to get those meds because you'd been so busy at work that you hadn't ordered on time, and they're going to push it through for you. Oh, I remember Sarah helped me with this. Oh, I remember Tom, he's a brilliant pharmacist. I didn't know if I should be taking this or this, and he told me straight away that this was going to be way better for me and that this was going to help because he knows my situation and he knows me. And they remember those things. And that is a type of positivity that you should never undervalue. You are part of that community, and that you're proud to be part of that community.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's so much more about it. For me, the content comes from the people. You know, it's people. You know, like if you think about what you're scrolling through on when you're doing it personally or anything, you generally, how often do you stop on an image that isn't a person or a video that isn't a person? Yeah. It's probably 1 in 10, you know, like unless it's a dog, obviously.
It's true. Psychologically, we're attracted to faces, to eyes. Psychologically, we're more likely to stop scrolling when we see a face, whether that's a human or an animal face.
The way I always say it is think like, what would you stop and look at in the street? You know, and videos, if someone started talking to you, it's a lot harder. You know, like it's actually unnatural to ignore that, to walk away from it, to shy away from it. So like videos of people talking where it's like immediately in your face, someone's there talking, your natural instinct is to stop and listen. And so, yeah, I think photos and videos, especially of the team, like you said, there's such a good bond there, isn't there? Yeah, for me, I think as well, like, because I agree, I think like success, while sales is the ultimate thing, I think it is. There's so many dots, I guess, to join, isn't there? Like,
yes,
things like this get you good reviews. You know, like a better sense of connection with the pharmacy promotes that brand. I think like it's like loyalty. You know, like they feel like more loyal to your team. You know, it's
exactly.
Because for me, to be honest, before we worked with Pharmacy Mentor, I wouldn't have known that pharmacies were different businesses. I thought it was just all part of the NHS. You know, it was just all a big branch, just like a GP branch. I wouldn't think of being loyal to my doctors. I only go where I think, oh, they're a good doctors, so they're good for me. It's nothing to do with them. I don't think of benefit in them. Whereas I do think for pharmacies, they've got, like, if you want to retain those patients, you've kind of got to make them, like, why should they be loyal? You know, and I think that Facebook really does promote that loyalty and retention. And you know, you'll have heard this as well, but you know how much cheaper it is to retain a customer than it is to acquire a new one. I think
it's approximately 5 times, they estimate now that it's 5 times cheaper to look after a good customer than it is to try and find a new one.
Yeah, for sure. And you're like, I think we're gonna probably wrap that up nicely there, because we'll go what we can do. We'll do videos in the future on maybe more business focused, like laser focused, like sales tactics that you can do probably on more Facebook ads and things like that. But yeah, that's been, I think it's a really good note to end on, is that it is not for sales. Like, it's not a promotional environment. Like, if you're thinking of putting, you know, you can do the odd, you know, we've got a 3 for 2 offer or buy one get one free, come down now. I think as long as it's lost in the sea of personal content, and I love the way that you articulated, there we go, a lot of the sentiments around that sense of community, because I think it is about looking after the community and having a good presence there, where people spend their time. You're also there as part of the community, not as a separate entity. But yeah, thanks very much for joining us, Lex, and thanks guys for watching the video. We'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you want more freshly baked content. As it comes out, you'll be the first to know about it. Thanks very much, guys. See you later.